Okay, so first of all, I have here a diagram of the Asian monsoon, and I want to recreate this diagram in PowerPoint. So my first step is to recreate the map, and I have here a world map which I am going to crop to match the diagram. Then I'm going to cut and paste it over the top of the diagram, and I'm going to rotate this image by opening up Picture Styles and going to 3D Rotation and then setting the rotation that I want. Then I'm going to line this image up with the diagram. Now this image looks good to me. I'm going to check it using the selection pane. So I can see that that looks approximately correct. I'm just going to add a picture border to this and then make it a little bit thicker. And then that is the end of the first step. The second step is to make the text. So I am going to go to Insert and then Text Box. Then I am going to type a capital A, and I am going to make this font considerably bigger and change it to Times New Roman and make it bold and italic. And then I am going to make the text fill purple using the eyedropper tool, so it will match the other text. Now I can zoom into this and line it up with the text in the diagram. Then I am going to press Ctrl D to duplicate this shape and line up all of the other A's as well. Then I am going to change this to a C and line up all of these C's as well. And it's not particularly easy to see, but there is also a letter just here. So I'm going to put a C here as well. Now that is the end of the second step. The third step is to remake all of the circles and the curves. So these circles here, I'm going to insert a circle. Now at the moment the default color is for it to be blue. I want to change this, so I'm going to remove the shape fill and change the shape outline to something nice and bright and pink. Then if I right click on here, I can set as default shape. Then if I delete this and insert another circle, this one will have a pink outline. I am doing this to make it easier for me to see the shapes over the top of the diagram. But what I'm going to do is zoom into here and line up the circle. Then I'm going to change the shape outline to black, and I am going to change the weight to 3 points, and then I'm going to make it dashed. And now you can see I have a very similar shape to before. Then in order to make this curved line here, I am going to use the curved line tool, And this basically involves clicking and releasing, moving the mouse a little bit, clicking and releasing again, and this will curve the shape every time I do this, and I just need for it to have a slight curve to match the shape in the diagram. Then when I've finished drawing the shape, I can press Escape to finish the shape. Then I can change the colour on here to match the diagram. And I am going to do this for all of the circles and curves in this diagram, and then I will get back to you. Now I have all of the curved pink lines. I'm going to format these by opening up the selection pane and then holding down the Control key to select all of the freeform shapes. Then I can go to Format and change the outline to black and the weight to 3, and then the dashes to that. And then obviously this line and this line don't need to have dashes, so I'm going to change those back to normal. And that is the end of the third step. The fourth step is to make the little black arrows. So this is going to involve making lots of very small triangles. If I zoom in to here, I can rotate this triangle round and then get it to match the triangle that's already there. Now I'm going to do that for all of the triangles in this diagram, and then I will get back to you. Okay, now that I've drawn all the little pink triangles, I am going to turn these black by opening up the selection pane and holding down the Control key to select all of the triangles, and then going to Format and changing them to a black outline and a black fill. And now I have my little black triangles. And that is the end of the fourth step. The fifth step is to make all of the bigger arrows. So we have the blue arrows here, and then the green arrows, and then also some red and white arrows as well. So to make the first set of arrows, I'm going to draw out these arrows and then change the shape outline to a 6 point and zoom in and then line the shape up. Be a little bit of tweaking involved to get this right. Now if I change the shape outline to no outline, I can then use the eyedropper tool to match the blue underneath. Then if I zoom out, I can duplicate this shape and then copy this arrow down here and tweak this one a little bit so it matches up. Then I'm going to copy this shape and get it to match this arrow over here. Okay, then I'm going to copy this shape again and try and match the green arrows. So I'm going to open up the shape style for this and zoom in. Now the first thing I need to do is change the colour. I'm going to use the eyedropper tool to match the green. Then I need to change the arrow type because it needs to be a bit more curvy rather than straight along the bottom. Then I'm going to increase the width of this a little bit and then do a bit of tweaking so it matches up. Then I'm going to copy this shape and then line it up with this arrow as well. Now if I copy this shape one more time, it's kind of difficult to see, but there is in fact a white arrow just here. So if I zoom in on that, I'm going to need to change the width on this arrow to 3 to make it a lot smaller, and change the colour to white and then make it shorter and line it up with this shape. And that looks about right. Okay. Then my next arrow is this red one here. For this one, I'm going to use a different shape. I'm going to use this block arrow here. Then I'm going to zoom in to see this a bit better. And I need the arrow head to be longer. Then the whole shape has to be smaller. And I'm going to do some tweaking to get this to match. Now I'm going to change the shape fill on here using the eyedropper tool to match the red underneath, and the shape outline will be black. Now if I zoom out on here, I can duplicate this shape using Ctrl D and then move this arrow over here and rotate it to match the other arrow. And I'm going to line this up, and then I'm going to change the colour on here. So the outline needs to match the blue over here, and then the fill is going to be white. Then I can copy this shape and move it over here, and then I will zoom in to line it up. Then there are 2 more arrows, one here and one here, and I'm going to make these just using triangles. So if I zoom into here and then rotate this shape and resize it, then I can change the shape fill on here to match the arrow underneath and change the shape outline to match as well. Then I can duplicate that shape and move it down here, and then zoom in and adjust this shape as well. This one needs to be a bit smaller. And that is the end of the 5th step. The 6th step is to draw all of the freeform shapes. That is this blue cycling arrow here and the other one here, and then also the white cloud in the background. In order to draw these shapes, I'm going to zoom in on them as much as I can while still being able to see all of the shape. Then I am going to draw using the curved shape again. And I'm going to draw one shape all the way around the outside of this shape. Just clicking and then releasing and then clicking again. And now I have drawn all the way around the outside of the shape. I'm going to draw another shape all the way around the inside of the shape. Now I'm going to select the outside shape, hold down Control and select the inside shape. Then I'm going to go to Format and Subtract. And now if I do a shape fill here, you can see I just have the outside shape. Now my fill on this is going to be a gradient fill, and I'm going to click on each of these and go to the eyedropper tool and select a bit of the colouring, and then click on here and select colouring from a different section. And then select colouring from a different section in order to create a gradient. Then I'm going to remove the outside line. And now I have my curvy blue line. Now I'm going to do the same thing for this line. And now the final freeform shape I need to draw is the white cloud in the center. So I'm going to use the same curved line tool for this and draw around the outside of it. Then I'm going to change the shape outline to black and the shape fill to white. Then I also need to change the shape fill on this shape using the eyedropper tool to this green. And then if I scroll down a little, I also need to change the shape fill here to green. Now that is the end of the 6th step, and I have now made all of the components that make up my diagram. The 7th and final step is to reorder all of these components so that they are in the correct order. So I'm going to open up the selection pane, and the first most obvious thing is to move this downwards so I can see the red arrow underneath. Now I believe that arrow somewhere here-ish. There you go. Now the red arrow has appeared. I also need to move this down so it's underneath the oval. I believe the oval is there. Then I believe I need to move this arrow down a bit because it's going over the top of the text. So I'm just going to move that all the way to the bottom. Now if I copy the diagram underneath and paste it in here, I can compare the two. So I believe both of these circles and the curve need to be moved higher up. And I need for this arrow, this little triangle and this little triangle to be moved higher up. And then I need this arrow also to be moved higher up. And I think everything is now in the correct order. Just one last thing I spotted is the C in the middle there is being covered up. So So let's move that higher. Okay, there. I'm happy with that positioning now. And then I am going to add in the map I made right at the beginning and remove the other diagram. And now if I flick between the two slides, you can compare the two images. Just noticed that this freeform shape needs to be moved down. And then this and this need to be moved down. Okay, you can see that this is the original diagram and then this is the diagram I made in PowerPoint, and they both look very similar. Now I hope you found this video useful, and that is everything.